welcome back to more Let's Play Katawa Shoujo. I am the Max 2 Trades, and in the last part, we finished up Shizune's story. That makes 3 of the 5 complete. We've got 2 more to go through, and you might be wondering who on earth it is that we're gonna be going after this time. Well, you imagine you'll probably find out pretty soon. I mean, it's not too terribly difficult, I imagine, to figure out where we're going to end up in a matter of time, really. But, it is what it is. Alrighty. So, as always, we'll just start up as we always do, make the choices that we need to make, and when new things show up, we'll start reading them. Gotta say, though, as we're slowly, inchworming our way over to where we need to be, despite the fact that really this has just kind of been an interesting story time with the Max a Few Trades type situation, I really haven't minded it at all. It's actually been pretty fun. Alright then, so the first things first. I actually have to find the thing on my thing. Here we go. Alright. As always, it's beginning to look a lot like you never want to say why at the start of the game. At any point, there's never a reason to do that. I find that to be more than slightly funny, if I'm being completely real with y'all. Alright then, so it's gonna take a little bit, but so, the game's actually started up on the channel as is, and, oh, okay, hang on, we actually have to say this. I think I got everything that I need to know. Can't think of anything, really. Ooh, that means we've been good guides, doesn't it? If you say so. And she does! Misha positively beams, and so does Shizune after a quick translation. I shake my head at their somewhat exaggerated enthusiasm and shift my focus to the food. And I believe that means we're already back in the way. All right. So yeah, the series has been going up for a little bit already, and you know what I gotta say? I'm really happy with how the response has been going. Everybody seems to really be enjoying me going through this game so far. And obviously that makes me incredibly happy because I was exceptionally frightened and worried that this would go over like a lead balloon. I really did. It's very different from the usual fare of my channel. And I had a lot of worries and anxieties about me not being able to properly, I don't know, give it the gravity and the dignity that it typically deserves, That sort of thing. And knitting dang way, it's time to, apparently, attack aggressively! But we've done so before. And as we already know, there is no beating Shizune at risk. It's one of the universal constants of this world. It's nice seeing Lily again. Man, Shizune's story really locked out a lot of other characters, like even more so than I feel the other ones did. Like, it felt like almost everybody had at least a little bit of something to do, but not so much on that one. Anyway, so, once again, I did not mean to startle you. It also seems like no matter what, you never have any reason to not try to be incredibly, apologetic and kind to Hanako. I kind of like that fact. Alrighty, I wait, and I say, nay, she was cute. So far, I'm glad that the game has never made me have to say that she isn't, because it's just patently untrue. And I do not like telling lies. Of that I can assure. Alright then, so, next on the itinerary, we want to read my book. I do what I always do when I don't know what to do. Like now. I've already started on one of the books I borrowed yesterday, and took it with me to school to fill the empty moments between classes. I find the page that I creased a corner off to mark the spot I left yesterday night and pick up from there. You really should invest in a bookmark. Bending the pages, especially in a library book, is just kind of a really rude thing to do. Misha and Shizune are still arguing heatedly, probably about restaurants still, which means, yep, we're back to where we were. We bump into Emmy again. It is nice to see her again. She is just as adorable as she has always been. My goodness. All right, then she slam jam, thanks you, ma'am, and says, hey, we need your help. Go get yourself some supplies from the art place. Here's a Rin. She got scraggly hair that's good for rufflins. She also got space face, but that's okay. It kind of cute in its own way. Gotta say. Alright then, and obviously, they are cross with the Rin for her brazen actions, as it were. Alright then, I will also say, yes, of course, I will exercise all the time forevers, definitely. Here we go, and we get a little bit of that there knowledge about the Rin. She does that little thing where she does a little shimmy shake with her hair. I don't know why, but I always found that to be adorable. And we go on our first runabout. Regret it immensely, as is the style at the time. Have to deal with Kenji, as we always do, but at least we get to jump through the beginning sections of his various weird little old rants and what have you. My goodness. There's Lily. She and Shizune are about to have their classic confrontation as the game struggles to keep up with the changes of camera angle, as is known the case. Alright then, I'm going to say, don't drag me into this. I've done my part, apparently. So, there you go. Slightly frustrate them, just a little bit. There you go. And then, they have a little bit of that. Oh, hang on. She might be slacking off somewhere, just like Hichan. Wahaha. Damn, what is it with Shizune and her need to point out stuff like this? Hanako nods quickly and retreats with haste. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, we are working really hard to make the festival happen. Is this new dialogue or old dialogue? It's old! Have another brief conversatione with Rin. She be having herself a time, obviously. It's kind of how she do. Alright, then we have to go to the track, and once again, we sadly have to say, take it easy. Sorry, Emmy. Ugh. It still kills me every time I do that. Not a fan of it. Really not. Another Kenji conversation that we are more than easily able to just hyperspace our way through. We have ourselves a chill and casual and lovely moment with Rin and Emmy. Gotta say, this is probably one of my favorite intros. I don't know. These two just have a good balance. Just being around them is good times, I feel. And now we'll travel with Lily all the way through the store once again. Give her the help that she needs. Run across a Rin in the middle of the night and be confused by her weird, aimless wandering about at town in the middle of the night. She proves to be not the easiest of things to deal with, but you know what? Sometimes that's okay, I say. Everybody is different and unique in their own ways. Anyway, I'm going to say that I'm not in a very good condition, I'm afraid. Alrighty then, so, from what I know, this should, in theory, be all that I needed to do. I think, anyway. Anyway, we have ourselves a brief chatteroo with a teacher man. There we go. And then Emmy takes us along. We help out with the whole paint situation, which is very nice, very nice. That whole Persian blue, who knows, who knows. Oh, all right, so we're at new dialogue again. All right, hang on a second. Let me back up a bit. Nope, there's no Prussian blue here. Emmy heaves a sigh. I guess I have to go back and get some. I promised to help with our class project, though, so I'll be back a bit later. Can you manage without it for a few hours? Ren nods, and so Emmy leaves. As opposed to me being, I guess, going off with her and what have ye. I stay because I like watching Ren paint, and because I have nothing better to do. I sit on a box and pick up today's book from my bag. It's a story about 3 guys drinking beer for 2 weeks straight and doing little else. That sounds like a phenomenally boring book. Like, I know I'm a guy who's always, you know, giving books a hard time and calling it for nerds and how I don't like reading and all that jargon, but that legitimately sounds like a very boring book. Rin moves from the spot that was in need of the blue and starts slowly working on another. Her foot works the brush steadily along the plastered walls, layers of paint on top of layers of paint. The mural slowly gains more form. I turn the pages at a leisurely pace. In this chapter, they're drinking beer at the protagonist's friend's place. In the previous one, it was the protagonist's own apartment. It's not a page-turner kind of book. A slice of life of someone's imaginary life that makes me wonder why it had to be written. You could say that about a lot of books. Why does this need to exist? Sometimes the answer is, it doesn't. Why indeed? The reason for doing something creative. It's something incomprehensible. Like why Rin does paintings. It feels like she and Emmy are the same, going squarely against their fates, as if it was just out of spite. Rin even said something like that. Do something you can't just because you can. Is that what she meant? Is that her reason? It might be Emmy's. She comes off as quite a headstrong person. Rin doesn't quite give off that kind of air. Thinking about it, she doesn't give off any kind of air. Or maybe a different kind every time I talk with her. Why'd she say what she said? Why does she, or anyone at all, paint or draw or sculpt or write? I don't know. It just feels like the thing that I want to do, so I do it, I guess. So no, I feel like a creative passion is no different than really any passion whatsoever. It just feels like the thing you should be doing, so you do it. I never had much of a creative impulse, so I don't think I can really understand it. It makes me feel hollow inside. What a grim thought. I can't really decide whether it's true or not either. Am I content being this way? I can't deny I'm feeling a little bit envious of Rin, but I can't really consider it a flaw of any kind. I'm myself and she is herself. Still, I do need to find something that could make me feel a little less lost about myself instead of just drowning myself in these books as I did in the hospital. I can't help but feel disoriented. The new school, lifestyle, and people around me contributed heavily to this sensation. I'm trying my best to fit into existing social circles, and most of the people I've met have been really nice. It still feels like I'm an outsider, though, like I don't belong. I shake the feeling off, realizing that I'm spacing out. I have neither turned a page of the book nor done anything for Rin. She's trying to pour some paint from a big can using only her feet, having not bothered to ask me. Or maybe she did and I didn't hear it. Either way, it looks very unstable. For a brief moment, I thought that was her feet, and I was slightly scared. I quickly jumped. It's like, them's some big feet! I quickly jumped to help her, as it looks like she's about to spill the entire contents of the can all over the pavement. I take the can from her feet and pour some in the bowl. She doesn't say anything, and neither do I. I catch a glimpse of her eyes looking silently at me from her unkept bangs. It's an unreadable expression. A perfect poker face mixed with a hint of something like a mild surprise. I wonder what she's thinking. Maybe she's wondering about what I'm thinking. Maybe nothing. A penny for your thoughts? Do you have any pennies with you? I don't think I do. Then I don't think I'll tell. I'm not thinking anything either, so you're in luck. Except now I just did. She frowns, looking very unsatisfied. It's hard to not think about anything, but it's important. I'm about to ask why it's important when some old guy walks up to us looking like he has some business with Rin. Okay, well that's certainly an image. Good afternoon. How's it going? I do not know. What is this guy? I can make it. Rin doesn't take her eyes off the wall and responds so naturally that I can only assume they know each other. I haven't seen the man before, so I naturally wonder who he might be. Maybe a teacher? His hair has faded into a silvery gray, so much so that it looks artificially dyed. I hope that's not the case. Small round glasses hang on the bridge of his nose, but it appears he's constantly looking over the lenses rather than through them. He's studying the mural intently over said glasses. Good, good. What bold composition you have here. He moves to inspect the mural closer, talking to himself about it in a way that makes it obvious he wants us to hear it too. Very good indeed. I don't know what to make of it, but Rin doesn't seem to care much. She's looking around her working space, the various bowls of different tones scattered all over. Hisao. A little more of this. Give me a second. I pour a 50-50 mix of two paints into the bowl to create more of the same pale pink tone Rin was using to fill up the shape of a man's face. Rin watches me do so, which makes me feel nervous somehow. Her face is so unassuming that it feels she's just waiting for me to do something wrong. The man turns to reckon me as well, looking surprised as if he noticed my presence only just now. Maybe he did. Hello there! Who might you be? I'm a transfer student to class 3-3. Hisao Nakai. Nice to meet you. Muto's class, eh? Well, I won't hold that against you. He laughs very loudly, obnoxiously loudly. A few small birds take flight from a nearby tree. Those sounded like seagulls. Do seagulls even perch? I don't think I've ever seen one do that. I'm Shinichi Nomiya. Nomiya, I don't know, the art teacher. Okay, so this is the art teacher. In retrospect, I should have guessed as that much. He even looks like one as far as first impressions go, what with his pizza tie and salmon jacket. How did you come to end up assisting my protege? I wish I knew. Oh, all right, hang on. I think there's actually one more thing here. Yeah, okay, I think that this is what I need to do, and with this, that's all I've really been given. So yeah, all right, I'm interested in the art club. I feel like I would have said that anyway, because this one up here just sounds incredibly rude. I guess I'm a little interested in the art club. I blurted out, partially inadvertently. Huh, what do you mean? Nothing specific. I wonder if I could come by sometime, even if it's just to observe or something. I've been thinking that I should join some club or something, so... It's in no way a premeditated move, but a vague sense of determination has really been building inside of me for the past week. I want to do something. I want to belong somewhere. It might as well be the art club, my shortcomings notwithstanding. The teacher seems pleased. Huh? You want to join? Well, we are always welcoming new people, of course. Club meetings are normal enough. We study various aspects of the fine arts and try our hands at them as well. Our feet. He gives an embarrassed cough, but Rin doesn't seem to mind. I take a small amount of comfort from the fact that I'm not the only one with vocabulary difficulties in this school. Nomiya, which I really wish I knew how to pronounce, rebounds from his faux pas by theatrically checking the time from his huge gleaming pocket watch and slaps his forehead even more theatrically. I really must take my leave now, but if you have questions, I'm sure Suzuka can clarify. Somehow I'm mentioning clarify and Rin in the same sentence doesn't feel right. However, I don't say as much as the teacher, since he seems to be in a hurry. Suzuka, I'm pleased to see that this little project is going so well. I just stopped by to remind you not to run off by yourself tomorrow. I've invited certain people to the festival for you, and I'm sure they'd like to meet you as well. I'll see you on Monday then, Nakai. The teacher leaves, and we're left by ourselves again. Rin is still painting as if nothing notable happened. Since nothing in fact did, I'm left wondering what on earth is wrong with me. Art and I haven't worked well together in the past, at least judging from the grades I used to have in middle school. Grades in art classes always sounded so weird to me. Maybe a club will be different than an obligatory, a class that I have to do. Who knows? I try to come up with something meaningful to ask about, but to no avail. I'll just go to the club meeting and see how it goes. So, you invited some people tomorrow just to check out your painting? He has a lot of art people friends. They like to talk about art. I think he wants to talk about art with them. Wants me to talk to them about art. That sort of thing. Somehow I get the feeling that you aren't too thrilled about it. Rin shrugs non-committally, but it still gives an impression of her general displeasure at the idea of having to discuss her painting, or any painting, with other people. I don't really like talking about art. It is already a way to talk without talking, so why bother talking about it? You know, that's not actually that strange of a viewpoint, I feel. I can understand that. It's like being bored and talking about being bored because you are bored. I'm not following you. Alright, well, it was nice while it lasted. Have you ever talked about being bored? It's pointless and not very exciting. All you can really say about it is, I'm so bored. I once spent a week trying to think of something meaningful to say about boredness. It was the most boring week I've ever had. But that's pretty fitting, don't you think? Rin gives me a look. The laconic kind that looks like it doesn't mean anything, but it does. Anyway, I don't know. I guess I just rarely can come up with anything to say about art. I mean, like this one you're doing now. I have no idea what to think about it except that it looks nice. What is this painting about? It's not about anything at all. That's what I'd like to say, so I did. But that was a small lie. I said it anyway because I would kind of like it to be true. The teacher wanted me to do this, but I didn't have any ideas. I tried to have some, but nothing happened. So, now this is a painting without any ideas. So really, you're just kind of freeing it up. You're just doing whatever it is that comes to mind, spur of the moment style. I've been there more than once. But what are you painting then? No idea. Come to think of it, I think I'll call this no idea. Ah, now I started thinking again. This is bad. Oh, she does a shimmy shake. She shakes her head vigorously for a while, trying to shake thinking out of her head. That amber red hair flies wildly around. This is why I wish I had Elmi help me. She makes it easy to not think about anything. You know, how she just talks about nothing for hours? It's like her head is made of bubblegum foam bath jelly. You are kind of the same, but not really. It's very helpful if you stay here. I'm not sure if that's a compliment or not. It's probably neither. With Rin being the overtly neutral person she is. Well, I mean, she seems to enjoy that aspect, and I doubt she would talk and hang out with Emmy to any capacity if she did not, in fact, enjoy her company. So, I feel pretty confident that it's as close to a nice thing as we're going to be getting, at least right now. So, is there anything specific you'd like me to do to make you not think? Just be. So, without knowing what I should do, I just sit on an empty box to watch her continue with the painting, idly leafing the pages of this beer-drinking book. Rin has a serene expression on her face, her dark green eyes hiding what she might think behind them. No, wait, she's supposedly not thinking about anything, right? She quietly hums to a tune, interrupting every now and then with polite requests for more paint or another kind of brush. Her concentration is admirable, even though she seems to be sleep-deprived and under pressure to finish the job. Inch by inch, the painting gains more form, details being added on top of details, colors intertwining with each other, filling the empty spaces growing on top of each other. I find myself thinking about inspiration and motivation to create art again. Where does one get ideas? They don't come out of nowhere, and I don't think there are muses that magically inject some inspiration in your head. It just kind of comes and goes. I mean, I wish I could just come up with good ideas, but, you know, they just happen. Ideas have an origin and a purpose. The more I think about it, the more I'm convinced that Rin is lying about her mural, or at least twisting the truth. Maybe she doesn't even realize it herself. As a creative type, I really do feel like it is a thing that happens. Sometimes you just have an idea, and you do it. You don't think that hard about it, you just make it happen. Sometimes, it just is what it is. You can't do anything creative without having an idea of what you're going to create. That would go against the definition. Every stroke must be decided to be drawn. Even if it's made at random, then that too is a conscious decision. So her painting, even this one, might be based on having some deliberate goal or idea of what to paint. If Rin's idea is to have no idea, as she said, does that count as having an idea? In a way, I feel like it might. A logical paradox? That seems to be Rin's modus operandi for most normal interactions, so it wouldn't surprise me if she hadn't even noticed this herself. I wonder if I should bring it up, but I'm not sure if I want to engage in an argument about logic with this girl. One of us would probably end up short-circuiting fairly quickly, so I discard the thought. Rin is squirming and shuffling relentlessly. Or restlessly. Either way, same kind of thing, basically. Even her usual blank visage breaks occasionally into a pretty difficult-looking expressions. The kind that one doesn't just come up with accidentally. Everything alright? Yes. No. My back started hurting again. This painting is too big, after all, and it's hard to paint in this position. Want to take a break? After I finish this part. Of course, she doesn't take a break, and I don't bring it up again, because that would be completely and utterly pointless. Rin continues her work, and I stay with her. I like to watch her paint, and I'm going to be a member of the same club she's in now. Man, girl paints fast. When she declares the mural to be finished, it's already so dark that I have no idea how she can tell. There's no celebration, no general sense of joy well done, just a tired and laconic, I'm done, and then we both go to sleep. You know what, I've actually been there too. It's kind of fascinating just how much mood I've been able to feel with the things I hear and see about Rin sometimes. It's fun to me that she can be such an interesting person and yet, you know, and off the wall and kind of strange, but still have those things. I think it's just because I am, by definition, a creative art type, well, with my drawings and stuff. So, in a degree, to a sense, I understand it, even if I don't fully understand her herself. The next day, I wake up feeling a little lightheaded. It's almost noon already. Sleeping late is fine since it's Sunday and there are no classes. Oh, it's the festival, which means we're back on old dialogue. I can jump right past this guy talking, except no, I guess I can't. Well, I joined the art club, so I guess I'll go with them. Oh boy. Blah, 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 you did what? I joined the art club. Man, that was a really bad move. Really bad. You don't know what kind of girls there are in the art club. Troubled, angsty cuties who tear your heart out and eat it raw. Well, I know one art club member, and I don't really see Rin suddenly becoming a psychotic murderer. I feel like she's too lackadaisical and neutral to ever have that kind of ambition. That seems unlikely. Don't say that! Don't fool yourself! You have no idea what you're dealing with here, man. They're the worst kind. They drag you in with all this fancy-pantsy crap, and then when you least expect it, well, blam-balam! Bam what? Like Legacy? Kenji seems slightly phased at my skepticism, but not at least any less loony. And altogether toony. Tiny toony. Altogether loony. Never mind. It doesn't matter. Tread carefully, man. Tread carefully. He figures his scarf nervously faster and faster like he's trying to start his fire, and that's my sign to tell me that that's old news and we can skip it. The happy hubbub of the crowd greets me as I push through the main door and step outside. The school grounds were transformed into festival grounds over yesterday and this morning. Colorful stands at the main walkways from the main entrance to the school building. Some people are still carrying stuff to and fro, but behind most counters are relaxed students who look like they're good to go. Most of the other students have been up early to finish their preparations. A feeling of guilt passes through me, but it soon goes away. I'm just a lowly transfer student after all. Some visitors are already strolling around the grounds. There are some young families with the perturbed parents trying to keep up with their over-enthusiastic offspring, as is the usual. A few students of our own accompanied by their parents, and a lot of old and young people who are here for no reason I can imagine. The Carlin, I don't know, bursts into life and the principal's squeaky voice announces the opening of the festival over the PA system. Everyone applauds politely, if a bit unenthusiastically. The school festival. We didn't really have festivals at my old high school. It feels kind of old-fashioned, especially considering the school I came from, but it's still somewhat exciting. A day off feels sweet after the first week of hard work, despite me lying on the hospital bed for 4 months prior to this. I recall even wishing that I could go to math lessons during my stint at the hospital, so you know I was bored and stir-crazy. I can't remember the program for the festival, even though Muto went through it during class just the other day. I step off the dorm steps, intending to take a tour around the grounds to see all the stuff the others had set up, but I only make it down to the bottom of the stairs. It is Rin! A few people are studying Rin's mural on the wall. while the artist herself is lounging on the sidelines, leaning against the wall, looking extremely bored and mildly under the weather. Good morning. Hello. How's it going? Nowhere. I'm stuck. What do you mean stuck? I mean, I can't walk stuck. I think my legs are out of order because of yesterday. Does it hurt? It's hard to say. Maybe. The strain of working on the mural was greater than she let me know. I thought it was just a bit of tired muscles or something. I mean to ask something further, but Rin swiftly moves on to another topic. Teacher's friends came by. Then they headed into town for lunch and asked me to go. It was a good thing my legs hurt so much. But you're stuck sitting there? That's not good. I'll just wait till I can walk again. It could be either sooner or later if you think about it for a while. Teacher was happy that I finished the mural. He should be. But I wonder if it's finished after all. Oh? I thought yesterday that I'd done everything, but now I'm not sure anymore. I should paint more details, maybe. Probably. It's very hard to decide. Finished or not, the mural looks great in broad daylight. Various human body parts repeated over and over in a wildly mutating, mostly disfigured variant are the main element. They're rough-looking, as if thoughtlessly placed and rudimentary painted, but a great deal of thought and care has gone into each and every one of them. Also, that guy's got a fish in his head. Does this one have a frog growing out of his head? It's a goldfish. I knew it was a fish! Let's see, what's that? Huh. Should I censor it? I mean, it's art. And typically they don't... I'm not sure. I'll figure that out later. It's nothing. Anyway... The wall is so wide I have to turn my neck from side to side to see the entire painting. It's hard to consider it a single piece. The elements don't seem to fit together, but I guess they do create some kind of a whole. Abstract as it is, they have no idea what it's supposed to be portraying, but it looks nice. That's enough for me. I settle myself next to Rin, leaning against the wall like she does. The happy noises of the festival are becoming louder as more and more folks enter the grounds. Oopsie-doopsie. The dorms are far from the main attractions, and the main building and the stands are around the courtyard, so most visitors have not found their way here yet. Suddenly, a Rin appears from off-screen. A somewhat bored expression settles on Rin's face, making her look detached from everything that's going around here. She's being awfully quiet. I wonder if she's in pain. So what do the art people say about your mural? My question wakes Rin from her daydreaming. She lazily turns her face towards me. I'm not sure. I think they liked it. Maybe they did. What about you? Are you happy with the mural? Because I kind of participated in it. It'd be terrible if you were unhappy. Rin tilts her head, biting her lower lip. I think it came out decently. It's not bad, but it's not good either. It just is. I guess I'm all right by being empty-minded. To be fair, yeah, that's another bit of a mood thing for art. It's like, I don't think it's bad, but like, you know, it's not really what I wanted. Can I have something else? What does this painting really portray? I thought about it yesterday when you said that it doesn't portray anything. Well, that's a logical fallacy, isn't it? You can make something out of nothing, not even art. Or you can't make something out of nothing. Rin frowns and turns her head back towards the clouds. I don't know. I'm not really good at explaining things. It's just a mural. There's nothing special to it. I said it already. She sounds annoyed at my inquiries. I didn't know what I'd paint, so I decided to paint just a mural. It's a mural that portrays a mural. No, wait. I just thought of a better way to say it. It portrays itself. So, its muralness is at the maximum. At least as far as I can do, so if you think it has some meaning, I think that's the same as this one has. That makes no sense. Honestly, actually, I think it does. I mean, at the very least, I don't think it's confusing sounding. Meaning, I feel the corner of my mouth turning upwards into a smile. That's just a tiny bit bothered. I never understood art in the deepest meaning of the word. I get the basics, how art is supposed to only be a means for exchanging ideas and thoughts. However, I never learned how I should interpret a piece of art to somehow divine what the artist intends to say through it. I know it's not any special skill, but somehow my brain never can connect art with anything else other than what I see. All I see is a mural. I admire the technical skill. After all, I know the difference between bad art and mediocre art and good art. But that's as far as I can go, so don't ask me about meanings, Rin. Her reply made me reluctant to ask her about it any further either. So what are you doing when you get on your feet? Nothing. Nothing? Well, there's the festival. Don't you want to go have some fun? I'm fine like this. You don't like socializing much, do you? I think I'm arguing more for her than for myself at this point. It's not that I'm particularly thrilled about the festival either, just a bit curious to see what it's like, and that's about it. Her answer is unsurprising. No, I don't. I guess me neither in the end. You should go if you want to. I know, but I can keep you company. I'm not used to all this just yet, so it's okay to take it easy. I can leave, though, if you want to be alone. I like it if you're here. We circle around each other with words, but eventually end up somewhere. Her saying that makes me feel oddly happy, so I stay. I like that she likes that I can be here. Her presence is something I like, too. The odd, warm aura of serenity that she seems to emanate makes it comfortable to be silent. I really like that. We watch people walk by, the two of us silent, everyone else chattering happily among themselves. Students are leading their families to their dorms to show their rooms. They pass us in the mural, maybe glance at it once or twice. I pay less attention to them and more to my companion, trying to figure my way past her cryptic, unreadable wall of a face. Rin's eyes flicker restlessly from one person to another as they walk by. Is she waiting for people to stop at the mural? Maybe secretly hoping someone would comment on it? I don't think anyone would assume she was the artist. We're just sitting here like a pair of hobos, after all, and she doesn't even have hands. I wonder if it's even in Rin's style to fish for compliments. She seems so aloof. Most people walk by, some of them pointing their fingers at the mural, exchanging words that I can't make out. Someone drops a snow cone on his shoe. Too bad for him. Everyone seems to like it. I suggested tentatively, throwing a topic in the stale summer air separating us. Rin doesn't answer right away, but by now I'm mostly used to her occasional slowness when she must talk. It's like she takes a great care picking her words, which is really unbelievable when you consider the jumble that comes out of her mouth. I wanted to make it so that she could look at it without thinking. Then I realized that it doesn't make any sense, so it became something like a mix of this and that. From far away, it looks like someone vomited a herd of butterflies on the wall, which is exactly what that obnoxious president person didn't want. Is that word that? What word? That. What is the word for more than one butterfly? Butterflies? No, like a herd or a school or a heap. Oh, I don't know. A flock, maybe? Maybe people like butterfly vomit. Maybe. Rin looks at the mural, looking surprisingly unhappy. The middle could be better. Usually I like in-betweens, but this was a pain in my butt. Not literally, of course. Then again, I did get that too. I guess it was literal after all. Don't be so critical of yourself. I'm an artist. It's what we do, man. She looks at me funnily, but shuts up. At about this point, I start thinking if I should leave and do something more constructive with my Sunday. This is the pinnacle of social failure. A whole free day, a festival right outside my doorstep, and what do? Sit here with Rin. Two bystanders with nothing to do except to think what a pity it is to just be a bystander. Even realizing how pitiful it is, I don't do anything. I don't stand up and take off for a day of fun. Shuffle, shuffle. Fidget. Shuffle. Rin is shuffling about restlessly, constantly swinging one leg over the other knee and then back again. She has a very irritated look at her face. Something wrong? Yes, no, yes. She suddenly hops up on her feet. It's surprising. I thought she was still rendered immobile, but apparently that's not the case. I have to go find Emmy, or someone. I need help with something. I can help you. No, it's okay. One of us has to stay here in case something happens. Don't be ridiculous. Nothing even remotely interesting has happened since I came here, except that one guy who dropped a snow cone on his foot. Let me help you since I'm bored. So what is it? Rin's lips flatten tightly against each other into an almost perfectly horizontal line. She closes her eyes and draws in a deep breath. When she opens her eyelids, the frighteningly stern look in her dark eyes takes me aback. Sal, you might not want to hear this, or maybe you do, I don't know. But it doesn't matter, and even if you did, you're not leaving me any choice. Oh! You know, honestly, I'm kind of impressed that you would actually, the story would even bring something like that up. Usually, that's sort of a thing that most works of fiction don't have any desire to ever allude to. That said, I will also... Oh, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read this. I'm uncomfortable in a different way than normal. I'm having my period, and I need some help regarding that. However, I don't feel that our relationship is yet on the level where I could allow you to pull my underwear down in the girls' toilet, even if you offer to. And you know what? I can't snap my fingers that well, but you make a damn good point, Rin. I'ma shut up and stay next to this here wall. That's why you should stay here while I go and look for Emmy. As blood rushes to my cheeks like the rising tide... Okay, you know, in Rin's defense, she was trying to be subtle. It clearly didn't work, so she stopped. That's fair. Like the rising tide, my brains tried to desperately search for an answer, but the only thing I could think of is how that was the most coherent thing I had ever heard coming out of Rin's mouth during these 4 days I've known her. That's true. I didn't even realize that. That was like a real, true, coherent beginning, middle, end thought. Yes. Not wanting to meet Rin's eyes, I turn my face aside, pretending I'm looking at someone's parents. From the corner of my eye, I see Rin turning on her heel and walking off without further ado. I feel like going to hide under some rock. I wonder how long Rin will be gone, or if she'll return at all. The whole situation feels awkward, and I'm not happy about how things have gone. She does return eventually, appearing seemingly out of nowhere and sitting back to where she was next to my place. I'm back. She says it flatly, like my blunder never happened. I prefer to forget the whole matter as well, so I keep quiet. Rin, you appear to be spawning a shadow person. Time passes in standstill. The sun gleams from high above the main building. It hits me directly in the eyes, but I just squint instead of moving. In a bit, it becomes painful to keep my eyes open just a little, and my temples start aching. My head hurts. I think this day is giving me a headache. Can you believe it? Are you hungry? How's that related to headache? It's not. I ask because I am. Her obvious seriousness melts my irritation with its ridiculousness, and I find the corners of my mouth turning slightly upwards again. You know what? So am I. I'll go get some food for us. What do you want? My treat. Doesn't matter. Returning with the food, I give one portion to Rin, taking the other for myself, and we dig in without a word. Rin looks upwards, fork hanging out of the corner of her mouth. What are clouds? I always thought they were the thoughts of the sky or something like that because you can't touch them. You thought like that when you were a kid? No, last week. Maybe because sometimes my thoughts feel like clouds, fluffy and white and slow. Like the sky was in my mind. Like my mind was the sky. The sky of your mind? Close your eyes and think of sky. You won't be able to think of anything else until you stop. And then I did it. I try it. It works. Magic? Are you some sort of magical woman? Opening my eyes, I see Rin studying me with her eyes. It feels uncomfortable because she doesn't say anything. I turn away. Clouds are water. Evaporated water. You know, they say that almost all of the water in the world will at some point of its existence be a part of a cloud. Every drop of tears and blood and sweat that comes out of you, it'll be a cloud. All the water inside your body, too. It goes up there sometime after you die. It might take a while, though. Your explanation is better than any of mine. That's because it's true. That must be it. I carry on eating the food before it gets cold. The wall offers a bit of blessed shade as the sun revolves around the dome of the sky. But the afternoon is already slowly making way for the evening, so our lunch becomes more of a dinner. Or whatever the word is for an irregular meal like this. It's called Lupper! Despite what I decide to call it, it certainly hits the spot. Haven't eaten a bit since forever. My appetite filled, I let out a satisfied sigh. Rin hasn't eaten all of hers, but seems to be done with her food as well. I lean back, taking in the atmosphere. The crowd has thinned already, but the activities are still going. Everyone seems to be enjoying themselves. And why not? It's warm. The kind of perfect summer day when it's hot, but not too hot for comfort. The sun will set soon. Time really has flown by. We've been sitting here for 6 hours. Yes, we have. Do you want to do something else now? No, not really. Me neither. She adjusts her position and leans against the wall, and I follow her lead, relaxing my own body. For minutes on end, we sit there without saying a word. I'm trying to feel Rin's mood from her demeanor, the tension of her muscles, the tiny expressions fleeting on her face. It's no use. She's unreadable as always. The crowd swells to and fro, people happily chattering with each other. Very few people pay attention to the mural, and even less to us. I fiddle with a few odd pebbles absent-mindedly. The act of doing something just for the sake of doing something, the pinnacle of idleness. Inch by inch, the sun creeps lower and lower towards the tree line, changing the color of the sky close to the horizon from golden yellow to orange and red as the moment of sunset draws near. I feel like my stomach is filled with lead after eating so heavily, but the brick wall feels surprisingly comfortable against my back. I try to fight against the drowsy feeling that is overwhelming me to no avail. I don't know how anybody could ever possibly manage to sleep in that position, but damn. I wake up with a start. A low boom reverberates through the school grounds. After images of bright sparks flash through my vision like stars. Something rises towards the sky from the direction of the sports field. A trail of fire behind it until a burst of red and yellow flame lights the sky high above the school with another loud boom. Fireworks. The sudden flash of light against the canvas of the night sky awakens me to realize that it's actually dark already. How long did I sleep? I feel groggy and can't feel my right arm. As I attempt to flex it, I realize why. Rin is leaning heavily against my shoulder, almost falling on my lap. She's fast asleep, not even fazed by the fireworks. Her mouth is slightly open and her eyes are peacefully closed. A sleeping, childlike face of the innocent. I shake Rin gently with my free arm, trying to wake her up, or failing that, move her so that my other arm is liberated from its pinch. Rin's face twitches and her eyelids shut tighter, as if to resist against waking up. She gradually opens her eyes, but keeps them half closed, letting the light from the fireworks sneak just past her eyelashes so that her green irises mirror the bright flashes of the explosions. Then looks up at me and frowns. Just a while longer, okay? Rin's voice is drowsy and slow, leaving her almost unintelligibly muttered words hanging lazily in the air. It seems she's not entirely aware of the situation. Rin's head drops back on my shoulder as she leans against me with all her weight. She snuggles against my side, trying to make herself comfortable, but making me feel very uncomfortable at the same time. I become intensely, almost painfully aware of Rin's warm body and the deep, peaceful movement of her chest against my arm. Her breathing soon returns to the even rhythm. I can't help admiring her gift for sleeping, or the ease of mind of hers to use someone she's known for less than a week as a pillow. The rockets rise up to the sky one at a time, breaking into flowers of red, green, and gold, accompanied by the oohs and ahs of the audience. I try to push Rin's disconcerting proximity out of my mind, for what can I do about it? I just hope her short while really is that. One by one, the glittering bursts are born and die in the blink of an eye, coloring the dark night sky into a constantly changing abstract painting. I listen to the low booms of the explosions and Rin's quiet breathing, trying to clear my own head of the post-awakening disorientation. Thankfully, just a while longer really proves to just be a while, as Rin stirs from her slumber and wakes up again before the fireworks are over. I fell asleep. She finally opens her eyes completely and blinks a few times. You fell asleep on top of me. Twice. You didn't like it? Well, despite the inconclusive stammering, Rin sits upright, drawing herself away from me. Well, you are heavy. It's a lie. She weighs next to nothing, but I have to get a jab back at her, even if it's under the belt. My mock protest fails to draw any reaction as Rin's attention is drawn upwards to the flashes of the fireworks. She seems hypnotized by the colorful play of the explosions. A slight tingling sensation goes up and down in my arm as blood starts to circulate again. It's unpleasant, but it helps to get me rid of this dizzy feeling. More and more rockets rise up to the sky, the bright colors of their explosions reflecting from the clouds. Both of us stare at the fireworks fixed through the canopy of the trees, enthralled by the show. We would get a vastly better view of the sky if we moved even a couple of yards, but neither of us bothers to even suggest it. I really do like fireworks, even though looking at them makes me feel kind of sad, I think. It's like they want you to look at them so bad, and they are loud and bright, but when someone looks, they're already gone. It's like they were not even real. They are real. I can tell you that. All of this is real, you know. If you think about it, nothing really lasts for long. Even something like my life or yours is just a blink of an eye in the history of everything. Like one of those rockets. Poof, and we're gone. But we're here, aren't we? Oh, this is reality. Rin sitting next to me, the loud bangs of the fireworks, the vast unlimited sky. These things are definitely real, even though they won't stay here forever. I feel warm inside, and I wonder if it's because Rin is so close to me, or just the feeling of being alive. I don't really know what I should say next. That's alright. Maybe I'm just talking to myself. But you know, fireworks are pretty. But in the end, isn't it somehow silly to spend so much money on a fraction of a second worth of pretty sparkles? Rin rips her gaze off the still ongoing spectacle and leans backwards, looking at me with a repulsed face. Wow, I never expected you to be such a cynic. Cynic is a pretty harsh word. Rather than that, I think of myself as a realist. Isn't a realist just the word of what a cynic calls himself? I mean, she's not wrong. The final rocket goes off with a bang of silver and blue, leaving the grounds eerily silent for a moment until the crowd starts moving towards the main gate like a cattle herd. Wisps of gray smoke towards the dorms from the sports field, the pungent, sulfurous smell of gunpowder it carries along feels like it sticks to my hair and clothes. Is that it? I think so. I stand up and stretch my sore back. Sleeping against a brick wall wasn't such a good idea after all. Rin stands up as well and turns to face me, with an expectant gaze on her tired features. Although she seems to have trouble focusing her eyes, she is looking straight at me, something I feel has not occurred too often in the past week. So I suddenly realized we'd almost been on a date here, as if by accident, even if we did nothing. But it wasn't. So why is blood rushing to my cheeks and my speech stammering? I don't know what I should say, especially since it seems Rin is waiting for me to say something. But luckily she solves my problem for me. Good night, Hisao. She gives me one more lingering look, measuring me from tip to toe, turns around on her heel and skips off, disappearing into the crowd. Okay. Good night. I'm left standing there giving my response to the cooling night air. The festival turned out to be nothing like I expected. I ended up spending all day in one spot with Rin, even though neither of us agreed nor suggested that we do anything. I just didn't have anything better to do, and evidently neither did she. Rin's warmth lingers for a while in my body before disappearing into the falling night. I get the feeling that the story of Rin is going to be a very interesting one. It's already 8:30, but this morning's class has not yet begun. We were supposed to have physics, but the teacher is nowhere to be seen. Had I known this beforehand, I would have slept in too. Suddenly, the classroom door slams open and Muto grunts his morning greeting to us from the doorway. Good morning, everyone. Muto looks like he has not slept at all. The stubble, his messier than normal hair, and the stained dress shirt create a less than favorable impression. I guess he had fun last night at the festival, too. Excuse me being late. I ran into unexpected problems. I'm usually not one for festivals like this, but I hope you all had a good time. After all, these sorts of events are important for you all, since they give you a short reprieve from schoolwork. The class replies with varying degrees of enthusiasm, and Muto proceeds to take roll and get started. Right then, today's subject is photon particle physics. That actually sounds really neat. Before long, I've descended into a comfortable coma-like state along with the rest of the class, letting Muto's rambling speeches pass through one ear and exit the other without leaving a trace. Now, who could tell us the solution to this problem? He's written a rather easy equation on the blackboard, desperately tries to get the class to participate. Nobody? Come on, guys. Nakai, how about you? Unfairly singled out and cornered, I give him an answer. It causes his shaggy features to twist into a genial smile that would scare little children senseless. Precisely! Good work, Nakai. I'm both disturbed and honored by the fact that he can remember my name only 1 week after I transferred here. From what I've seen, Muto has serious trouble remembering the names of anybody else in the class, and most of them have been here since for the first year. The room settles into a dreary mood, students and teachers alike trying to get back on track after the festival. I figured last week must have been frantic for everyone. Not a minute too soon, the lunch bell rings. Make way, important business! I turn my head just in time to see other people scatter out of the way as someone charges from the far end of the corridor towards the stairwell. It's too late to realize that I'm standing in the middle of the corridor, directly in the middle of the oncoming human projectile. I try to skip back towards the door. Unfortunately, the person running towards me dodges in the same direction. In the following fraction of a second, several things come to mind in sequence, yet almost simultaneously. First, I recognize that the girl who is on a collision course with me is Emmy. Secondly, I realize that it feels somewhat very natural to be tackled by Emmy once again. I could almost feel comfortable if not for the reflexive panic and terror. Third, Emmy seems to be carrying a foot-tall stack of papers while running in the hallway. She crashes into me, but at least the impact was a grazing one on my arm this time. Oh, hey, why does this always happen to me? Gee, I wonder, could it possibly have anything to do with you running through the corridor like you were on fire? She whimpers regretfully, looking like a hurt puppy. The sight makes me regret my snappish comment the very instant it emerges from my lips. But I was in a hurry. I can tell. Sorry. Don't worry about it. Emmy wails weakly one last time and rubs her forehead, as if to expel the ache while her gaze sweeps over the hallway floor. As she notices her neat stack of papers spread all over the floor in one big mess, she lets out a horrified yelp. The printouts. Oh, no, what am I gonna do? She'll give me hell if they get dirty. They're probably fine. Let's gather them back up. It won't be a problem. We quickly round up the papers, and Emmy tries to sort the scattered pile in her hands back into the orderly stack it was. Where are you going? Nowhere in particular, I guess. Didn't want to be left alone with Muto in the classroom. I think he has a hangover. Have you eaten lunch? Not yet, but I'm not feeling very hungry anyway. She looks at me incredulously, as if doubting my sanity for letting such a thing out of my mouth. You should go to the roof. I promised Rin I would eat lunch with her. I bet she'd like company. Uh-oh. My lunches with Rin have been remarkably unsuccessful. I know where this conversation is going, and it's hard to not get drawn along, so I have little choice but to play ball. Okay, I'll go pick up some bread or something first. Emmy smiles brightly before I say anything further. No, I'll go and deliver these super quick and then go buy lunch for us. And Ren, too, of course. What kind of bread do you like? It's fine. You really don't need to. Don't worry, it's all right. Consider it an apology. I'll be back before you know it. That's what I'm worried about. Don't get into another accident. Emmy starts walking down the hall, but since she's still talking to me, she isn't watching where she's going. I won't. Famous last words. She's already jogging down the stairs as she shouts that not-so-reassuring promise back to me. Sighing quietly, I start plodding along in her wake, but instead of taking the stairs down, I climb upwards. The stairwell up to the roof is unlit, and just as creepy as it was before. The door squeaks weakly in protest as I push it open. Rin is there too, like Emmy said, lying on her back at the other end of the pebble-covered rooftop for some reason. Predicting something unnecessarily strange again, I walk to her as slowly as possible. Hello. She sounds very drowsy as she says that, stretching the end of the word with a slurred voice. Despite that, her eyes are wide open. I look down at her, my shadow overlapping her face. What are you doing? Rin raises an eyebrow. I thought you had a heart problem, not an eye problem. She answers, challenging the rationale of my perfectly valid question without even tilting her head to look at me. Rin's smart-ass comments are infuriating. The worst thing is that I'm not sure if she's doing it on purpose or not. Alright, then let me rephrase. Why are you lying on your back on the rooftop? She gives a lazy shrug and sniffs dismissively. I'm trying to experience. People probably don't do this enough. What exactly are you trying to experience here? I can't really tell, but there's probably a reason people don't do whatever. She's playing dodgeball with me again, answering my attempt at small talk with riddles I don't want to puzzle out. But I don't want to ignore her either. Yeah, but the reason is that everyone is too busy with their lives to pay attention to the really important things. Like watching the sky. She tears her gaze away from the sky and finally looks straight at me. The penetrative deepness of her eyes once she focuses them on something is startling. You know, if you were a girl, I'd be able to see your panties. Yes, I suppose that is true. If I was a girl, I wouldn't come this close to anyone who tried to sneak a peek at my panties. I have that much common sense. I wouldn't either, but sometimes it can't be avoided. Like now, for example. To tell you the truth, I don't even really want to peek at your panties. Okay. Thanks, Rin. Underpants are the soul of a girl. You shouldn't peek at someone else's soul, even if you're not a girl. As a guy, I guess I can understand that. To us, they're some sort of half-mythical object that we can't quite comprehend. Yeah, that's exactly how I think about them, too. What a coincidence. It really is. So, did you have world history in the morning class? I skipped class. To do this? Well, I'm not actually doing what it looks like I'm doing. Or at least I think that what I am doing doesn't look like what I'm doing. But from your perspective, probably. Yeah, I skipped class to do this. I guess whatever your reason is, it's as good as any. Giving into the tired feeling in my legs, I sit down on the roof next to Rin. The pebbles are not the most comfortable bed in the world, but if she can stand it, then I should be able to as well. What are you waiting for? Try it. I bend my neck backwards to take a look at where she is looking. The silvery blue sky, dotted by herds of cloud sheep, fills my field of vision entirely. While it's pretty, the view is nothing special, even though the weather is fair. I give a shrug, trying my best to imitate the nonchalant manner which Rin seems to have evolved to perfection, and lie down on my back. The stones poke at my back through my shirt whenever I shift my weight even a little, forcing me to keep as still as possible. I try to ignore the discomfort in myself, instead concentrating on the vastness over us. Far above, the summer clouds drift soundlessly across the dome of the sky. Neither of us have anything more to say, thus silence covers the rooftop. The subdued noises of the students on their lunch break, cicadas in the trees, and traffic buzzing past the school are humming pleasantly somewhere in the background. Listen, I had a great time yesterday. Did you? Well, to be honest, no, but it was all right. It was probably the longest time I've ever sat in one place without doing anything, which is kind of impressive. I try to make it sound as convincing as possible. Is that impressive? I think it is. I'm usually too restless to do anything like that. I think I had a good time, too. A cloud passes above us, casting its shadow on the school. A chill surges through me from the sudden change of sunlight to shade. I realize that summer is not in its full bloom quite yet. The only measure of time passing is the slow pace of the clouds moving towards the town. Stray beams of golden sunlight leak through the gaps, blinding me for a moment whenever they hit me directly in the eyes. The blue of the sky looks so unreachable. This reminds me of the time I spent in the hospital, where I was bored out of my mind on a daily basis. Somehow it didn't matter after a while. I learned to appreciate other things besides watching TV and gossiping with people I didn't even like. A comprehensive sensation of calmness spreads from my sight to my other senses, finally hitting my brain. An airplane zooms by, leaving two thin contrails. Yeah, I think that's the word. In its wake, like a pair of chalk lines drawn from one end of the sky to the other. I wonder where it's heading. The low din of its engines carry all the way down to my ears, although it's barely audible over the racket from the quad. It's nice. It's nice, but I don't understand why this is more important than going to class. Isn't it good to do something you like every once in a while? Of course, but what are you doing? Emmy has snuck up on us without either noticing and is only a step away from me, holding several packages wrapped in plastic film in her arms. Hello, Emmy. She leans forward and peeks over me, overshadowing my face almost exactly the same way I overshadowed Rin before. I wonder how weird this looks, the two of us lying on our backs on the rooftop. That's what I asked, too. I'd be more concerned about what you're doing. If I were you, I wouldn't come that close to people who could see your beauties. God damn it, Rin. Rin! Emmy's voice is scandalized, but she quickly takes a step backwards, pressing her hands against the front of her skirt so abruptly that the parcels of bread she was carrying fall. I quickly avert my eyes and glance angrily at Rin. She pretends not to see me. Isao isn't like that, right? Right. At least that's what I'm going to... I mean, yes, but I'm also going to say it. Even if I wasn't, I'd say it, but I am, so... Emmy scowls at Rin and crunches down to pick up the packages. She wipes the dust off them and skips lithely around me to Rin, the other side, where she sets herself down. Anyway, here's your bread. Sorry it took a while. That's alright. Thanks for treating me. I pull myself up into a sitting position and gratefully accept this bread that Emmy is offering. All three of us ravenously dig into the simple meal. The bread is surprisingly decent and readily fills my stomach. I follow from the corner of my eye the skill with which Rin handles her bread between her feet. Haven't seen you on the track in a few days. Oh, right. I figured it was too heavy a routine for me to start with. Please don't make me think about that too much, Emmy. I already feel bad. So, you been doing something else? I've been considering my options. She frowns, but doesn't pursue the issue further, for which I am thankful. Emmy seems pretty headstrong, and I wouldn't really want to get pestered by her about this on a daily basis. I have enough burdens to bear with Shizune and Misha already. Seriously, I got the name wrong first, got it right, now I'm gonna get it wrong again? I don't think so. We barely finish the lunch before the bells ring, calling us back to our classrooms. Hichan! Misha waves at me as soon as I enter and start talking before I even make my way across the classroom. How was your festival? Did you have fun? Still somewhat undecided on that. I'd say probably. Why? Just asking, just asking. Her eyes glint in a way that tells me she's not just asking. I can even start to guess her motives, though. Or I can't even start to do that. As the well-timed entrance of the English teacher prevents us from talking further, Misha falls back to plan B. Whatever that may be. I was there all day with Shichan. We had a lot of fun. Weren't you supposed to be doing work? Don't worry, everything went really well. I don't reply to that, and she leaves me alone after Shizune demands her attention. My own attention, on the other hand, is directed out the windows. Now that I look at it from here, through the window and the foliage just outside, the sky seems smaller. I catch only small glimpses of blue. Everything else is a clutter of noise right in the middle of my field of vision. What experience did Rin want out of staring at the sky? Surely she's done it before. Everyone has. It's no use trying to guess her mind, but if I don't do that, then I have no excuse for not concentrating on the teacher's words. I look at the scribbles appearing on the blackboard, trying to figure out their meaning with little success. English really is not my favorite subject. We have a strong mutual dislike for each other. Fair enough, fair enough. Thick, hot afternoon light invades the corridor, making the air feel hazy and lazy. Or heavy and lazy, but hazy and lazy works too. My body feels weighed down by it as I drag its 2 doors down the hallway to the art classroom. Maybe this is part of the reason why I didn't join any clubs before. Afternoons just aren't suited for activity. Huh. Unsurprising that the guy with the missing ear would have one of those. I knock on the door of the art room and open it. A girl who was possibly doing something important with the scroll of paper she's carrying turns to reckon me and smiles in a sweet, if a bit confused manner. Hello. This is the art club, right? Yep. You interested in joining? Yeah, in fact, I might have already done so, but we'll see. I give her a weak smile, and her own widens a notch. Makes me feel a little less nervous. Great, have a seat then. We'll start when the teacher gets here. Without even scouting the room for a good spot, I walk quickly to the back of the room and settle myself on a free seat apart from everyone else. A few other members are lounging in their seats waiting for teachers. Rin sits alone in a window seat looking outside. She's the only person here that I know, although a guy I've never really gotten along with from my own class is here too. Nobody else comes to greet me. Maybe introductions are left for later? So I just settle for silent observation as well. One boy has sunglasses on, odd sight indoors. Where were we not at Yamaku? I bet he's the blind student Rin was talking about. That would make the most sense to me. The wait proves to be extremely short. Namiya walks over to stand behind his desk in 3 long strides, then gives a smile and a flamboyant greeting. Good afternoon, everyone. First things first, to Sal, there's a new member, so everyone get along with him. He winks at me unsettlingly. All 8 members of the club, including myself, answer his greeting with considerably less enthusiasm. Still, people finally straighten up in their seats and begin to pay attention. I think some of you still have projects to work on, so please continue with those if you like. As for the rest, I was thinking that today we could do some rough studies. How does that sound? Nobody answers except with some unintelligible murmurs, which Namiya apparently interprets as unanimous approval. There you go, there we go. Alright then, everyone now working on other projects, choose a partner and draw a sketch of one another. You should be able to complete this today, but if not, we can continue it next time, or even do it again if you find it interesting. Remember to pay attention to lighting and shadow, and give it your best. Pairing up. I feel awkward about it, hardly knowing anyone here. Or someone would ask me to be their partner. People stand up and move their chairs closer together, but nobody comes to me. Pretty soon, everyone else is paired off. Friends team up with each other, but I'm left alone. Well, there is Rin. She's sitting in the furthest corner of the classroom, still staring out the window and seemingly uninterested in taking part in the exercise. Since she's the only other one without a partner, I walk to her seat. I can't see her face because her hair is covering most of it, and she's looking away from me. Rin? I call out to her, no response. Hey, want to partner up? You're the only one I know here. She seems to finally acknowledge my presence, head turning like a robot as she looks to see who is addressing her. Rin doesn't answer, and I don't want to repeat the question either. I'm sure she heard it the first time. Why doesn't she say anything? Can't be such an awful fate to be paired up with me, can it? She doesn't look at my face, and instead directly at my chest and stomach. Oh, okay. Why not? Okay, good. Great. I'll get the stuff for us. Alright. Looking at the equipment Nomiya has prepared for today's meeting confuses me. Instead of graphite or pencils, we're apparently supposed to do ink sketches. I've never done anything like that before. The teacher, however, seems confident in my abilities to adapt to this medium. Simple! First, you do the outlines in ink, you let them dry, and then you shade with the diluted ink. This is called India ink. It works like watercolors. If you're uncomfortable with it, use a pen instead of a brush for the outlines. Got it. I pick up paper, water cups, 1 pen for me, 1 brush for Rin, and ink for both of us, then return to Rin. Grabbing a vacated chair from nearby, I seat myself directly opposite her. Do you want me to do it with my foot or my mouth? The fact that the music stopped when she said that means that was definitely an innuendo. What did you say? She tilts her head, her brows forming questioning arches, as if she doesn't understand that I didn't understand the question. I don't mind drawing either way. You look better if I do it with my foot, though. With your foot, then, if it's all the same to you. Nodding in answer, Rin gets up from her seat and kicks off her sandals. In 2 fluid motions, she picks up the paper sheet and drops it on the floor, then snatches the brush between her toes before sitting on the floor in a weird half-cross-legged position. Although I've seen her do everything with her feet already, from eating to painting, the display of dexterity is so prodigious that I just stare at her stunned. Rin contemplates her blank paper intently. The sharp tip of her brush hovers over the paper in anticipation. When she raises her head to see if I'm ready, I quickly turn my face away. I'll go first. Make a pose. What kind of pose? It doesn't matter. That's the point. You have to make the sketch of the impression you get, not decide beforehand. I end up just sitting in my chair, my hands hanging limply between my knees. I look at her, and she looks at me for a moment before beginning. Rin's stare is piercing, but impassive, as if she were trying to absorb a part of me into her own self. I feel like I'm physically shrinking under the pressure of her gaze. I get the feeling that for the first time since we've met, Rin is actually looking at me instead of in my general direction. She sketches with confident, bold sweeps of the delicate brush, not caring about the potentially destructive consequences of accidentally misplaced stroke. After she's happy with the outline, she stands up to pose for me, stretching her back and legs. This time she doesn't look at me. Instead, Rin lets her gaze wander around the room. I'm relieved. It's easier to stare at someone when they aren't staring back at you. Even so, I find it hard to get the sketch going. I'm not especially artistically talented, so I'm scared my portrait will turn to something disfigured, especially when compared to my partner's skill. I don't want to embarrass myself too badly on my first try. Rin's not helping the process either. She doesn't stand still for even 10 seconds, tilting her head from side to side to judge her drawing, biting at her lower lip, looking unsatisfied, and constantly shuffling around like she's on hot coals. I finally managed to make some headway on my sketch, and with my outlines done, we both start inking in the shadow and light. Nomiya, I'm gonna have to look up how to pronounce that off hours, don't worry, and remarks on the beginning of our sketches. Very good. Standing figure is easy for a beginner to get a grasp of, but I didn't choose the pose. Yeah, well, maybe Rin did it on purpose. She's a wise lady type. At least that's what I choose to think she is. I look at him and then in Rin confusion, and he's already moving on to the next pair, and Rin seems unresponsive. Just like when she was painting the mural, Rin has become so engrossed with her work that it seems like she has shut me, the classroom, and the entire world itself out from her own little sphere of existence. Every now and then, she leans backwards, seemingly to get some perspective. Sometimes she bends forward, leaning down until her nose almost touches the paper. The rocking back and forth looks silly. Suddenly, Rin proves she hasn't completely drifted off into a world of her own and speaks. You having fun already? She doesn't raise her eyes from the drawing, which is a good thing. The breaking of the silence sends a jolt of surprise through me, as if I'd been electrocuted. It's not that weird, dude. I don't know yet. It's hard to say. I can hear how she replies to my answer, because it seems she's suddenly having a private, whispered conversation with her sketch. I don't understand how she can draw so well. The answer was I can't hear. I don't understand how she can draw so well while she has the attention span of a butterfly. As it seems she's lost her interest, I go back to work on my own drawing as well. I try to add texture to Rin's hair to somehow grasp the way the golden afternoon sun lights her bright red tossel aflame and transfer it to my paper in shades of black and gray. Somehow the pen and the bottle of ink seem like such lousy, inadequate tools for the task. Minutes pass, but the sketch doesn't magically look any more like Rin than it did before. Her voice wakes me up from my despair. What about now? Excuse me? Are you having fun already? Why do you keep asking that? Because it's a club, right? Clubs are meant to be fun. You join to have fun. Are you having fun? Is it important that I'm having fun? Yes. Okay, I'm having fun. Good. I wonder if I just said that to please her or if I really meant it. I can't really decide which it was. I don't hate this, though. I can honestly say that much. It's good enough for now. As the allotted time to finish the studies quickly ticks away, I desperately try to improve my awful sketch, but it doesn't seem to be getting any better. I want to start again from scratch, but what would be the point? There's no time for that either. Okay, everyone, that's it for today. Please turn in your drawings on my desk, and I'll see you all next Monday. Oh, that's not nearly as bad as you were making it out to be. I glance at my portrait. It doesn't exactly look like Rin. I don't know. I think you gets the point across. I guess you could say it portrays her, but that might be a bit generous. The nose and jaw look hideous, and the shading is terrible. Granted, it's my first attempt at drawing with ink, but it's still pretty bad. That's not bad. She sneaked up behind me while I was lost in thought. Damn it, I was hoping I could smuggle the portrait to the teacher without you seeing it. Why? I'm not really happy with it. I wish I could draw better. You just need some practice. Could you take my drawing to the teacher too? Curious to myself about how the sketch turned out, I peek at the picture. From the way Rin was drawing, it looked like she was really into it. Well, goddamn! It's excellent. Somehow the seemingly arbitrary strokes come together to form an image of my face, from the shape of my chin to the messy hair and to the somewhat gloomy expression. Her sketch blows my mind. Yeah, wow, holy hell. Okay, well, I mean, I don't really see much of a reason in being, self-deprecating or anything. I think she's just legitimately really freaking cool. Wow, you're amazing. It's not that amazing, but thanks. I take a closer look at her work. It's still glistening with slowly drying ink. You know, I look kind of grim here. You do look kind of grim. I mean, I agree, but it's also true otherwise, too. Like this you, not the you I made. I do? I think so, at least. Her simple statement makes me suddenly feel incredibly self-conscious. I feel like I need a mirror right now to confirm or debunk Rin. It's a nasty feeling. Maybe it's just her. I hope it's just her, and that I don't look like that sketch to everyone. It's a good sketch, but somehow I get a really oppressive feeling from it. I see. Anyway, it looks really good. You really are amazing. Thanks. I'm glad I could draw you. You're an interesting person. You're an interesting person too, but that didn't help me much. My self-deprecation has no limits today, but Rin ignores it all. I knew that I could never compare, but to see the difference with my own eyes is quite humbling. I still say you did a pretty good job. You know, I actually find it very interesting, because, you know, technically, I also drew a sketch of Rin. I also, you know, inked and colored it and everything too, but still, I just think it's neat. Although, admittedly, I didn't realize she wore sandals and instead drew her wearing shoes, which is a bit of a bummer. But, it be what it be. Aside from that, I think I did okay. See, I tried to make you look like you think a lot, since you do it a lot of thinking. And yeah, I might have overdone the fed up with life expression, but cynics are like that, right? I want to retort something snappy, but Nomiya gives me no time to think, ushering us to the door. Hurry up, you two! While we've been chatting, the rest of the club has taken their leave. I quickly pick up our drawings and take them to the teacher's desk before hurrying after Rin, who's already left the classroom. She's not in the hallway, to my surprise. Wonder what she managed to run off to in just a few seconds. Would have been nice to talk more. Well, not that I had much to say, except maybe get back at her for calling me a cynic. It's surprisingly late. I already got used to school ending at the same time every day, so I can feel the extra hours in my head and my gut. My growling stomach reminds me that I'm absolutely ravenous. I'm so hungry that I dared to try anything the cafeteria staff has deemed edible. Even when I see today's delicacy, fried mystery lumps, my steely resolve doesn't fade. I stuff the dinner down without tasting it at all, which is probably for the best. I don't have much homework to do, but what little I have won't get done by itself, so I stroll towards the dormitories. And why, though? Why, though? Hisao, why? Preparing for the post-homework lull, I knock on Kenji's door. He responds from the other side, although I can't make out what he said. I try the door, but it's locked. After several seconds, the locks click open and he opens the door. Hi, hey, could I borrow a book? The library was already closed after I got away from my club meeting. He's squinting even more than usual, and his eyebrows are twitching nervously. Club? That's dangerous, man. Indoctrination, groupthink, brainwashing, you name it. High school clubs sow the seeds of conspiracy. Do you know how many secret societies have grown from high school clubs? Watch your back and don't get too deep in. You might not come back. Okay, Kenji, so about that book? Sure, but return them and don't spoil any of my books. No drinks, no food stains, no bodily fluids, capiche? Sure, thanks. Instead of letting me in, he retreats from the door, closing it again. After a few seconds, he returns with a stack of 3 thick books and hands them over to me. Opening the topmost one, a familiar emblem stamped on the copyright page greets me. Your books? These are from the school library. They are now mine. You stole these? What are you talking about, man? I've been liberating these from the oppressive feminist movements that control the library. That's weird. You're weird. Please say oppressive feminist movement doesn't mean that poor librarian girl, Yuko. She doesn't even oppress a wet towel. Kenji turns away, mumbling something I can't make out, and closes the door behind him. This was my shortest experience with him, and I'm comfortable with that fact. Before going to my own room, I enter the bathroom. While washing my hands, my eyes catch my reflection from the mirror above the sink. I try to look for the grimness Rin saw in me, but it's just the same usual me inside the mirror that stares back. I attempt to tell myself that this is what I've always looked like, but I realize I don't remember what I looked like half a year ago. Maybe Rin is able to see things that we can't. She's just got that kind of air about her, you know? That's what I think, at least.